Today I'm talking with Sarah Hamilton-Gill, mentor at Mentors for Women and an HR entrepreneur who has spent the last 30 years helping other HR professionals build businesses of their own. Sarah started in corporate HR, becoming the youngest manager to support a Sainsbury new store opening at 24. She went on to work with Dorothy Perkins, BT, Vodafone, Santander, and the English Football Association. After leaving corporate life to set up on her own, she has since built GlobusHR Consulting into a seven-figure business, launched over 260 HR consultancies through her Leap into HR consulting programs, founded the HR Consultancy Academy, written a best-selling book, and been named one of the UK's top 30 most influential HR thinkers in 2024. She did most of it while raising two sons on her own. Sarah now runs her business mainly from the island of Corfu, where Fridays are likely to be spent on a boat as behind a laptop. She believes HR professionals routinely undervalue what they know, and that the leap from a steady salary to a business of your own is far more doable than most people think. If you are seeking a mentor, reach out to Mentors for Women to explore working with Sarah or another vetted mentor from our global community. You'll be matched with the right mentor for leadership, career, life transition, creativity, or business growth. Sarah, you left corporate HR in 1994 to start your own consultancy. It's been quite a while since then. What do you recall driving you to do it, and what were the first months like?
Thank you very much. I think the interesting thing, it is a long time ago, but I do remember it very, very clearly. I was in a corporate world where it was very, very structured, very bureaucratic. There was very much the career ladder. And oh, you've not been here long enough to consider that next role. Everything was so slow. The decision making was slow. The lack of creativity. I found like I was shoehorned into an environment where I couldn't flourish. And in 1994, there was no such thing as HR consulting. It was only management consulting. And I joined a management consulting firm as an HR expert. So the whole ecosystem of HR consulting just wasn't a thing back in those days.
You built the business while raising two sons on your own. Looking back at those early years, what went well and what didn't, and what did you learn from it?
It wasn't easy, is what I learned from it all. And I reflect back now and I look back and I go, I don't know how I did it, quite frankly. But if I hadn't been a consultant and I hadn't had my own business, I wouldn't have had the flexibility. I wouldn't have been there for all the key moments in their school life in particular. I never missed a parents' evening. I never missed a sports day. And for me, that was hugely important. But it wasn't easy. I'm not going to say it was easy.
You have helped over 2,060 HR professionals start their own consultancies. When someone comes to you wanting to make the leap, what holds them back most often?
Yes, very interesting. I mean, we've launched well over 250 now, and the one or two key things that hold people back is, and it's predominantly women, it tends to be, I don't think I got enough experience. Now, I'm talking about professionals here that have been in HR for 20 odd years and they've got bags and bags of experience, but they don't think they've got enough. So, this element of, and they label it, I don't label it, they label it as imposter syndrome. And I think the other big fear, and this is a reality, is how am I going to go from having a very nice, stable, probably quite a large salary to an environment where I'm starting from zero. I've got no income at all. How am I going to make that transition from one to the other because I have commitments? Those are probably two of the fears. And then the third one is I can't do sales. I don't know how to do sales. How am I ever going to get clients? And we address all of those elements when we do our mentoring.
Your book talks about 5C's methodology. Without giving the whole book away, what is the thinking behind that framework and why does it work for HR professionals specifically?
The 5Cs was put together on the back of over 32 years of working in consulting and distilling what worked well in those 32 years and how we could accelerate people moving successfully from the corporate world into consulting. And the 5Cs take you through a very step-by-step approach to how you can make that transition. We know it works because we've got a huge number of success stories. And although my niche is HR consultants, I have used the 5Cs for many businesses across other sectors as well. So it's the whole professional services that it could be applied to, not just HR, but it works. It accelerates that transition for them.
You pivoted your own business twice during the pandemic. A lot of people froze. You moved. What drove that?
What started the whole pivoting was a lot of our boot camps, which is our program for getting people up and running, were face-to-face residential programs. And of course, as soon as the pandemic hit, we could no longer do that. So we switched from face-to-face to digital, did online coaching programs. Do you know what? It was the best thing that ever happened. We now have a global audience for our programs rather than a local one. And although I'm a real advocate of face-to-face programs, and we still do, a couple of weeks ago we did a conference in Birmingham for 100 consultants. So we love face-to-face as well. But for the coaching programs, the online pivot in the pandemic has been fantastic for us.
I love hearing that. And honestly, there are so many of those because of pandemic, they made that digital transformation jump and they created a hybrid business and grew strongly because they had to do this pivot during pandemic. You now run the business mainly from Corfu, which is a long way from a Hampshire office. What did it take to build something that could work from anywhere? And what changed for you personally once you had done it?
This is a really interesting backstory to this. So, when I was 17, I went on holiday to Corfu, fell in love with the island, wanted to live there, and then life got in the way and it was not going to happen. Mainly because I got two sons that needed to grow up in the UK, education, and all the rest of it. And then in 2019, I made the decision to get my Greek biometric and the ability to live here permanently. And actually, that was before the pandemic. So my partner and I did our first road trip across from the UK to Corfu. And on that road trip, which made me realise how mobile my business was, we were doing it in a camper van. I was stopping off in the Alps, just taking a phone call about a disciplinary. I was doing some change management conversation on my way. It made me realise that actually it doesn't matter where you are in the world when you've got clients digitally. But of course, this was pre-pandemic. So my clients in the UK, when I said I was going to transition to working some of the time in Corfu, they said, well, how's that going to work? And then, of course, 12 months later, nobody really cares where you work from anymore. They don't ask the question, where are you? Yeah, I've created a business that takes advantage of all the technology, cloud-based technology. I do plan my diary very carefully. So I balance being in Corfu and in Hampshire where we have clients. I've got family there as well. But it's the hybrid. It's a combination of the two. And it's one of the things I help other people do because there's so many people that want to go and travel and they want to have that level of flexibility that they can just grab their laptop and their phone and take their business with them. And I love it. Absolutely love it.
You once played underwater hockey for the England ladies team against France. What does it tell us?
Oh gosh, it tells people that I've got a little bit of a competitive streak. Also says I'm a little bit mad because it's the most crazy sport you could ever come across. Most people have never heard of underwater hockey, and it's fast and furious. You know, I tried going back to playing underwater hockey about 4 years ago, and it's you have to be super, super fit to do it. And I took the view after revisiting it in my 50s, it's probably not the best thing for me to do. So, but what does it say? It tells you a lot about me. I absolutely love water. I love scuba diving. I love snorkeling. I love windsurfing. All of the water sports are absolutely my happy moments.
I must admit, when I read that you have done underwater hockey, I had to take a look. What is it? Is it an actual real thing? And it is. You said it is a crazy, mad, really demanding sport. So that's really admirable that you have been able to compete on that level. Amazing.
Yeah, it was good. And I was very, very well supported because I was working in the retail sector at the time and they were very supportive of me going off to do these matches and the training. So, yeah, it was great.
And the final question, Sarah, for a woman watching this who is good at her job, well respected, but wondering whether there is something more, what is the one thing you want her to remember?
There is absolutely something more. And it's our time to take control of our careers, really, really decide on what it is that we'd like from our life and our balance and make it happen. And with well, it's nearly 300 people that have set up businesses with me. Every single one of them at some point had this doubt that maybe it wasn't right for them or maybe they couldn't do it. And actually, 95% of them are still running their business after the first year, which compared with the UK success rate after 1 year is 10%. The average is terrible. So we know that also women that start the journey and transition into consulting just flourish. And the beauty about it is it's not just their business, it's their impact on their family, their partner, their children. It has a massive ripple on effect with other people as well.
Success rate 90% of people that you have helped to make the leap from corporate to start their own business is just amazing. 90% still in business after first year. It's almost unbelievable, but I do believe that it's a real
I mean, I'm not
thing.
saying it's easy, but the resilience, the confidence, the support they have makes it happen.
Well, that tells a lot about the framework and also the support that you give to your clients. So wonderful to hear that. Wonderful thing to remember from this interview. Thank you so much, Sarah, for this conversation.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.